Good morning, students. Here we learn this new chapter, which is earthquake resistance design of building. Uh, my name is Janki Patel, as you know me already. So we start with this some basic introduction or about this earthquake detail. So apart from the gravity loads, the structure will experience dominant lateral forces of considerable magnitude during earthquake shaking. It is essential to estimate and specify these lateral forces on the structure in order to design the structure to resist an earthquake, right? So it is impossible to exactly determine the earthquake uh, induce these lateral forces that are expected to act on the structure during its lifetime, right? So the code of the practice for an earthquake resistance design of the structure primarily aims at accomplishing two primary objectives. First one is a total safety against loss of life, and the second one is minimization of economic loss, right? So here the main objectives are fulfilled by the design philosophy with the following criteria, right? So what are the objective? Now we see that the first objective is building should not able to resist minor earthquake without any damage, right? So here we see that first I tell you something. Ground shaking at the given location during an earthquake. When earthquake occurs, ground shakings are also there. It can be minor, moderate, and strong, right? So relatively speaking, these minor shakings occurs frequently, uh, rather than this moderate shaking is occasionally, and the last strong earthquake shaking is mostly rare, right? So this first objective tell you that a building should be able to resist minor earthquake without any damage. It also say meaning that the building should not experience even small damage to that particular building if minor earthquake shaking is there, right? The second is to resist moderate earthquakes without structural damage but with some non-structural damage. It says that there are not any structural damage but there are some non-structural damage. Now we have this question is what is the structural damage and what is this non-structural damage. So structural damage means main structural elements or members, means beams, column, footing, slab, these all are the structural members. These are not damaged with this all beam, column, footing all are to resist this moderate earthquake. But non-structural damage means a non-structural damage means it's non-structural members like cracks in masonry walls, cracks in plasters, etc. So these are little bit damage, right? And the last one is to resist major earthquake without collapse but with some structural and non-structural damage. It means that uh, there are some major or minor cracks in beam, column, footing, which are structural members, and also in the masonry or plasters, which all are the non-structural members, right? But at the end at the end of the major earthquake, the building should not collapse but it's have a repairable damage, right? So next, what is the aim of this earthquake resisting building, right? So first is structure will behave elastically and survive without collapse under major earthquake that might occur during the life of the structure generally where earthquakes are occurred, the there are during this major earthquake, structures will behave elastically, so that so that under this major collapse, we survive because of the life of the structure, right? And second is to avoid collapse during a major earthquake, structural members must be ductile enough to absorb and dissipate energy. So, because of this major earthquake, structural member must be ductile. Because of this ductile of these members, it is enough. It should be enough to absorb this dissipate energy and absorb this energy. So there are because of the earthquake, there are lots of loads or forces are applied in this in the particular building. So the building it should be the building should be such that it is enough to absorb and dissipate this energy, so that the structure would not collapse, and we can save the life of the humans who will live in that building, right? So, so basically, what are the objectives behind this philosophy? Every philosophy based on some objectives. So, what the structure do when the earthquake happen, or how the structure should perform. This all are we studied in this main chapter. Here, the different earthquakes are categorized, and expected performance are also here. So, first is under minor shaking, how it will perform. We see that in this theory. The first is under minor shaking, structural members should not be damaged. However, buildings part that do not carry load may sustain repairable damage. Uh, this would be understood by this figure. In this figure, the main structural members are not any damaged. Even with the non-structural members like wall, with some repairable damage means it just hair cracks are there. It must be repairable, right? So, building parts do not carry load may sustain repairable damage. In that particular minor earthquake, which is less than design basic earthquake. Now, what is the meaning of design basic earthquake? It is defined as the maximum earthquake that is reasonably can be expected to occur at least once during a design life of the structure, right? Uh, Next, see that second is a structure should be able to resist occasional moderate ground shaking without significant damage, right? So we see this in the figure. There are some damage to the non-structural members, or some minor damage in structural members, right? So here uh, it may sustain repairable damage, while the other parts of main members may sustain repairable damage, while some other parts of the building may be damaged such that they may even have to be replaced after the earthquake, right? So this moderate earthquake is basically is equal to design basic earthquake, right? And the last one is structure should be able to resist major earthquake without collapse. Right? Under the strong but rare shaking, the main member may sustain several damage and irreplaceable damage, but the building should not collapse. That means that a major earthquake which is greater than MCE, which is maximum considered earthquake. So this maximum considered earthquake is the earthquake corresponding to the ultimate safety requirements, right? So we see that this after minor shaking, the building will fully operational within a short time, right? And the repair cost will be small, and after the, and after this moderate shaking, the building will be operational once and the repair and the strengthening of the damaged main members is completed. But after the strong earthquake last major earthquake, the building may become uh, dysfunctional for further use, but will stand so that the people can evacuate it and properly recover from this major earthquake, right? So next we see that the what are the types of this shaking, and which type of magnitude and its annual average number. So there is a great earthquake which have magnitude of 8 and higher, and the annual average number is 1. Now this magnitude is also known as this Richter scales. uh, we see that in this news that there are five Richter scales earthquake are there, right? So if there is a great major earthquake, the magnitude is between 7 to 7.9, and the annual average number is 18. Hence, and the strong earthquake, the magnitude is between 6 to 6.9, and the annual average number is 120. In moderate earthquake, magnitude is between 5 to 5.9, and the annual average number is 800. In light earthquake, the magnitude is between 4 to 4.9, and the annual average number is 6,200. In minor earthquake shaking, the magnitude is between 3 to 3.9, and the annual average number is 49,000. And there is very minor earthquake shaking, and their magnitude is less than 3, right? So that there is 1,000 average number per day, or we can say that 8,000 per day. So there are the four virtue of earthquake uh, resistance structures, right? So ground vibrations during earthquake causes forces and deformation in the structures. So the structures needs to be designed to withstand such type of forces and the deformations. So seismic cores helps to improve the behavior of the structures so that they may withstand this all type of earthquake effects or forces without any significant loss of the life and the property, right? So these earthquake resistant structures have this four virtue. The first is the lateral strength, which means the maximum so the lateral means the horizontal force, right? So this horizontal force that it can resist in such that damage induced in it does not result in collapse, right? The second one is adequate stiffness. Its lateral load resisting system is such that the earthquake induced deformation it do not damage in the content under the low to moderate shaking, right? The third virtue is good ductility. uh, Good ductility means its capacity to undergo large deformation under several earthquake shaking even after yielding is improved by the favorable design and detailing strategies, right? And the last one is the good structural configuration. So in that, it's a size, shape and structural system carrying loads are such that they ensure a direct and smooth flow of inertia forces to the ground. Now, we can see that we thrive for this earthquake resistance design and construction, but we cannot build this earthquake proof building. We can try to re- we can try to design such building that could resist most major earthquake, but we cannot build or construct that type of building which is uh, earth proof. It seems it would like that it's not a bulletproof building, right? So today's lectures is ending here. If you have any doubt, so you can contact me or message me, and you can also write comments below this presentation, right? So if you have any doubt, so contact me, and next session will be scheduled in Monday, right? So thank you so much, guys.